Let's talk about how to get a Sprinter van business loan with EIN only. See, the whole thing is that a lot of Sprinter van drivers, they're trying to have a business loan with EIN only, but they have no idea. Either they go about the whole process the wrong way, or they have no clear formula for success. So into this conversation, I will fix all these problems if you do have them. So here are the steps I want you to follow right now. Very first thing, you need to get a legit business. Boss, if you are listening to me right now, you're sitting there, you probably have a Sprinter van business. My question to you is, do you even have a real business? Like you're probably walking around telling people, yeah, I have a Sprinter van business. I'm a CEO, I'm a managing director, I run my business. Do you have a business? That's a big question I want to ask you. I mean, let's get real. You got to stop fooling people. You got to stop, razzling people. I don't want you to razzle dazzle me. Either you have a business or you don't have a business. And when we talk about having a Sprinter van business, I'm talking about getting organized. Because it's not about just ordering business cards on Vistaprint or other platforms and showing people like you have a business. It's not about having a social media profile that says, yeah, I have a business. Are you legally in business? Do you have the proper legal structure? Are you an LLC? Are you an LP? Are you a C corporation? Are you an S corporation? Talk to me about that, boss. Let's have a clear conversation. You can never get a Sprinter van business loan with EIN only if you don't have the proper legal structure. I don't care. People tell you, yeah, you can be a sole proprietorship and get a business loan. You're not going to get it with EIN only. I'm just telling you straightforward. Don't let anybody razzle dazzle you. They're lying to your face. Okay, so you gotta get a legit business. We're talking about having an EIN, an employer identification number. We're talking about you making sure that you have a proper business bank account for your Sprinter van business. Okay, you gotta have articles of incorporation, articles of organization. In case you don't know this, if you have an LLC, you need to have articles of organization. The lender is going to ask you. If you have a C corporation or an S corporation, the lender is going to ask you to provide articles of incorporation. The lender will ask you to provide licenses and permits, business licenses and permits. The lender will ask you to provide a certificate of good standing. The lender will ask you to provide business insurance. So those are things you need to have. So when I talk about getting a legit business, I'm not just talking to you about, you're walking around telling people I have a business. Do you have a legit business? Talk to me about that. The second thing I want you to do, boss, if you want to get a Sprinter van business loan with EIN only, you need to have credit in good shape. See, the whole thing here is that if you're looking for, see, when I talk about credit, I'm speaking about two things here. I'm speaking about your personal credit, and I'm speaking about your business credit. See, the whole thing here is that you don't need credit to bid on certain loads. Okay, you don't need credit to actually reach out to dispatchers, to freight brokers, no, you don't need that. But if you want to get a loan, if you want to get a line of credit, if you want to get equipment financing, if you want to replace your Sprinter van, if you want to be in a situation where you want to be able to actually tap into a source of business funding, you need to have your credit in good shape. And I'm talking about two things here. Okay, your personal credit and your business credit. So what does your personal credit look like, boss? What does it look like? Where you at on the FICO spectrum? Where you at? Son, daughter, talk to me. Talk to me. Are you at 500, 600, 700, 800? Talk to me about that. So that's one thing, right? So that's one thing we're talking about, your personal credit score. We also talk about your business credit score. Where are you at, boss? Do you even have a business credit score? What is your PDS score at? 80? 50, 40, 20, 100, 90. Talk to me about that. Hey, listen, it's important. It's important because the lender is going to verify all this. So you might as well just do the due diligence yourself even before starting the whole conversation. By the way, welcome back to the show. It's always a pleasure. Always a pleasure to have you here. It's just wonderful to have a conversation with you. So when we talk about getting a Sprinter van business loan with EIN only, I'm just sharing with you today the formula for success, the proven formula for success, because you got to have a formula for success, boss. You got to really stop getting your ass denied over and over and over because you have no plan, you have no program, you have no formula. You got to have a formula. The third thing I want you to do right now is that, boss, you need to have a solid business plan for your cargo, for your Sprinter van business. Let me repeat that. You need to have a solid business plan for your Sprinter van business. By the way, I want to quickly remind you to this topic. We're having a quick convo about how to get a Sprinter van business loan with EIN only, real fast, a fat amount, and a fat amount real fast, big amount. See, the whole thing is that, hey, listen, you're thinking, hey, I have a business, I have a Sprinter van business. Okay, have you thought about having a business plan? You got to have a business plan. It's kind of funny. Sometimes we have some comments on our videos on YouTube and whatnot. People sending us email. A lot of viewers send us emails directly. We get about 500 emails a day. Think a day. People asking questions, and people are kind of shy. They don't want to expose the problems on our YouTube comment section. That's okay. That's fine. But what I want to say here is that a lot of y'all who are sending me questions about Sprinter van business loans, you don't have a business plan. That's a bad thing. That's kind of like a rookie mistake. You're trying to play in the NBA. You haven't practiced in 20 years. Think about your chances of even actually doing 5 minutes. People would be knocking you out of the court. That's kind of crazy. And that's what we're seeing here when it comes to business loans for Sprinter vans with EIN only. You want to have a Sprinter van business loan with EIN only. You have no business plan. You got to have a business plan. Okay, and I don't want you to be a stingy ass trying to go for a cheap ass business plan. Go on the internet and download like a template and trying to customize this for your business, for your Sprinter van business. Don't do this. Okay, don't do this. You want to go, if you have no idea what I'm talking about, you want to actually hire someone who understands how to write a business plan for Sprinter vans. Okay, you can get somebody locally. You can get somebody online on sites such as Fiverr. You have Upwork. You have TopTal. You have Freelancer.com, or you can even use software. You have software such as Enloop. You have software such as LivePlan. You have a lot of software tools that allow you to write a Sprinter van business plan yourself. Okay, very important. The next thing I want you to do, boss, son, daughter, grandpa, grandma, mom, dad, uncle, and I'm just talking to you. I want you to gather around and have a conversation with me. Okay, you are trying to get a Sprinter van business loan. You need to have a resume. Oh yeah. I bet you didn't see that coming, right? You're probably thinking, well, why are you talking about having a resume? You got to have a resume. I'm not asking you to get a job. I mean, it's not a job interview or whatever. No, but if you think about it, having a business loan application process is kind of similar to having a job interview, because the lender is trying to probe your background. It's trying to probe your business's background, your business operational history and whatnot, right? So you need to have a resume. Why? See, as a Sprinter van business owner, as a Sprinter van owner operator, you are going to, like, especially if you're a solo entrepreneur, if you're a single member LLC, or you are you're by yourself, it means that the business successes or failure, for that matter, lies on your shoulders. Something were to happen to you, stuff happens, life goes on. The business could be toast, and you will be in a position where your Sprinter van business wouldn't be able to repay the loan. So the lender is really trying to cover their ass. They're trying to cover their asses too, right? That's what the lenders are trying to do. It's called risk mitigation, if I were to use proper English. Okay, so my thing is your resume is sort of like the great success ingredients that reassures the Sprinter van EIN only business lenders that, hey, listen, this person has experience in actually delivering loads in this industry and hauling loads for a diversity of clients. He or she has been doing this for a while. He or she knows what he's doing or what she's doing. That's really important. And when we talk about business loans for Sprinter vans, trust goes a long way. So your resume has to be but the thing is, your resume has to be in sync with the Sprinter van industry, though. I mean, don't you try to have a resume where you have a 20-year work experience, and the last 15 years you spend them doing accounting or doing marketing, and you're trying to get a Sprinter van business loan. This is not going to work. No, there has to be a preponderance. There has to be a higher proportion of the sprinter van experience vis-a-vis, I mean, versus the rest of your professional experience. Okay, what I'm trying to say here is that if you're trying to get a sprinter van business loan EIN only, you need to show a resume that shows that you have experience. You have experience in the sprinter van business sector, so to speak. And the thing is, when we talk about cash flow statements, you can either have actual cash flows or you can have projected cash flows for your sprinter van business. This is really important to understand. See, you don't have to necessarily have actual data. I mean, the lender is okay if you have, let's say, if you have an estimated cash flow statements, the lender is okay as long as those data, the data that you have in those cash flow statements, are realistic. Okay, don't you try to again razzle dazzle the lender, trying to lie by showing, like, let's say if you're living somewhere in Rhode Island, you're saying, yeah, I can make $10 million a year, but you live in Rhode Island. I mean, I love Rhode Island, but we all know that you think about Rhode Island versus LA or versus New York, you see the potential, the business potential there. Okay, so my thing is that you want to have a cash flow statement that actually reflects your business. Okay, by the way, when we talk about cash flow statements, we're speaking about one of the four financial statements. Okay, you don't really need the three other financial statements, but if you have them, that's fine. But the cash flow statement basically has three sections. So you have a cash flow from operating activities, cash flow from financing activities, and cash flows from investing activities. And the good thing is that by showing liquidity trends in your sprinter van business, it's going to help you reassure the lender that you do have the potential to repay the loan. And that's all that matters. That's all that matters. Let me give you a bonus here so we're clear here when we talk about. See, the thing is, there are a lot of reasons why you might need a sprinter van business loan with EIN only. See, the thing is, it's not just because you have occasional plugs, occasional chasms, occasional gaps in your cash flows. That's why you need a sprinter van business loan EIN only. Now, when we talk about EIN only, we're talking about making sure that you want the lender to base their lending decision, their underwriting decision, on your business credit history, right? Because you want them to leave your personal credit history out of the equation. You want to preserve your personal credit history. This is important anyway. I mean, if you have a sprinter van, you want to cover your ass because, hey, listen, you like, if stuff were to happen, if something happens, like, you get into a car accident, or you have some kind of lawsuit, whatever, you want to divorce your personal assets from your business assets so that you're covered. Okay, and so you can get a business loan for your sprinter van to replace old equipment, to update older or out-of-date equipment, or you can add to your existing equipment inventory. You can buy a new van, you can buy a new sprinter van, you can actually lease a new one or a used one for that matter, but more recent one. Okay, I mean, because there's a lot of reasons why people actually get a sprinter van business loan with EIN only. My question to you is, boss, my question to you is, what do you need the money for? See, the thing is, the first step in actually getting approved is having a clearer idea why you need a sprinter van business loan with EIN only. Okay, do you need new equipment? Does your equipment needs an upgrade, or like an upgrade if you want to be competitive? Okay, is it that repairs are no longer sustainable on your existing sprinter van, or do you want to apply? Like, is it because you don't want to apply for a traditional documentation heavy business loan? I mean, do you have a down payment for the loan for the sprinter van business loan you're looking for? Is it because you have thought about the whole thing and you think that a new equipment or a new sprinter van purchase would offset your tax burden? Have you thought about the fact, maybe you have thought about the fact that leasing a sprinter van doesn't make financial sense to you? Or do you want to preserve working capital? So the reason why I'm telling you all this is because you have a constellation of reasons why you might want to have a sprinter van business loan, and this is why you want to think about things beforehand. See, the thing is, if you think about a sprinter van business loan with EIN only beforehand, that helps you actually plan things like repayment, right? So you're thinking about the loan amount that the principal and interest that you will be repaying every month, whether or not this amount will fit really well in your budget. In other words, so once you account for that monthly payment, whether or not you still have a monetary bandwidth, okay, in your budget. So those are important things. This is the kind of planning I want you to have. This is the kind of analysis I want you to have. This is what the kind of what we call predictive analysis I want you to have. So you are in a clear position and know exactly how to position your sprint of van business to always win, boss. We want you to always win. Let me give you a winner strategy here. So when we talk about a sprint of van business loan, you need to understand you do have a constellation of benefits, right? That you actually can get if you want to get a sprint of van business loan with EIN only. First of all, we have quick approval because see, those loans generally are collateralized. So the lender is going to retain the title to the sprint of van that you actually finance through the loan here, okay? And you have a tax deductibility, right? So you may be able to deduct your sprint van loan monthly payments as an operating expense. This is why I was just telling you earlier. You want to incorporate, you want to organize as a business, okay? You have more money in your pocket because you are keeping cash on hand for other purchases you may need if you want to run your business, your sprint van business, okay? Imagine one of your sprint vans breaking down and needing to be replaced, or you have a lot of things that can happen. You have a flexible payment schedule, okay? You have approximately 25% of soft costs that are covered. Let's talk about soft costs. So soft costs include things like fees, delivery charges, and freight charges, okay? Again, each lender is different, so be sure to research to know exactly what charges are applicable to the loan and which charges you will be responsible for covering. Here are a few pro tips I want to give you before we close to this conversation. So when we talk about sprint van business loan, EIN only, is a loan better for you or is a lease better? Loans or leases? So when considering sprint van business loans, know that you can also look into leasing the sprint van. Okay, so here are some things to consider about leasing versus getting a sprint van loan. So equipment leasing, you basically don't have a lot of, like with a lease, you can finance around 100% of the cost of the sprint van, okay, plus around 20 to 25% of the so-called soft cost. So this is but for equipment loans, you might actually you have to put down like 20% or 10% depending on the lender. Okay, so there are pros and cons for each approach. So you got to really think about what really works for you. So leasing a sprint van may be best for your business if you have short-term equipment needs, if you must update technology frequently, if you are tight on cash. And financing a sprint van may be best for your business if you plan to keep the sprint van for a long time. You use the sprint van constantly to generate revenue, and your company's cash flow is strong. So those are things I want you to think about when you think about leasing versus financing. Thank you so much for your attention. I really appreciate it. In today's conversation, I quickly talked to you about how to get a sprint van business loan with EIN only. And so here are the steps I want you to follow. So here's a recap. So get a legit business, have credit in good shape, have a solid business plan, make sure you have a resume, and you also want to have cash flow statements. And I give you a bonus, I give you a winner strategy, and I close to this conversation by giving you a few pro tips. Thank you. God bless you. I will speak to you another time. But until then, remember, stay marvelous.